Welcome to Coach's Corner, everyone. Thanks for watching this show. I'm your host, Coach Tripp, along with one of my old high school football coaches and lacrosse coach, Coach Andy Pannafino. Coach Pan, great to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. We're going to start at the beginning. Tell our listeners where you were born. Talk about your mom and dad and any siblings you had.
Okay, my hometown's Fulton, New York, which is just north of Liverpool, Syracuse area, where all the lake effect snow comes down. And when I was a kid, we walked to school every day. There was no busing. There was no snow days. So it was brutal. It made you hardcore. My parents worked at the Nestle's plant. My mother worked on the line, whichever line was open for her to work for packaging. My father was in the beverage processing department. He worked as a chemist, developing new products. I did work there for a couple of summers when I was in college, which made me want to go back to college because that type of work is not easy when you're working in factories. So that was my hometown. Snow was snow, and kids were tough, and we didn't cry, we didn't complain.
Coach, that reminds me when I was at Alabama and I went back for the summer to work at a job. My dad got me a job with Cisco Foods and down at the distribution center, and I was in a freezer from 11 o'clock at night to 7 in the morning. Oh man, that made me want to go back to Tuscaloosa. Yeah, for sure. So I know where that's coming from. What are some of your earliest memories playing sports, and what was your sport love growing up?
Well, I was, you might say I was a late bloomer. I was an underachiever. I wasn't a very good athlete. I participated on teams because I wanted to be part of a team. My best friends were pretty good athletes. So we all hung together and, we went through the rituals. Football was tough back then. Well, it could be tough today too, but depends on discipline. It was all discipline back then. We did a lot of workouts during the summer. We ran, we did everything on our own, and then we were ready for football camp. And our coaches were hardcore back then. Took no excuses, and you didn't ask for any excuses. You did what you were told. You didn't complain. You kept your helmet on, and you gutsed it out. And there were some games where our football field was off a small lake, and there were times during the late winter season, football season, where snow was coming in, and it was pretty cold. And as much as I love football, we were begging for the game to be over with because frostbite was starting to set in, and you just want to get to a warmer place. But when I was a little kid, before we had no Pop Warner, so we organized our own teams. When I was a kid, we had 4 parts of the city. Fulton was a city. We had north, south, east, and west. We had gangs. So each part of the city had their own football team, and we'd arrange our own games. No parents were welcome. We would play. Sometimes kids would have helmets. Most kids didn't have helmets, and it was tackle football, and it was brutal, and there was blood, and we never went home and complained about it. It was full tackle, and sometimes teeth got messed up a little bit, but no one complained about it. We just loved playing the game, and it was just a different world. It was a different world back then, because when you started with Pop Warner football, which city of Fulton didn't have Pop Warner back then it got to be more organized, more parent control. Today I see the kids go to these little pee-wee football camps, and the parents got these overweight kids running laps. Like, what are you doing to this kid? Let them enjoy, teach them the basics, make them like the game, or have them understand the game. It's a team sport. Football is a team sport.
Yeah, man, the youth, I played. Matter of fact, we talked about it on Wednesday night show with Bill Pendock and Blaze Winter, the transition from football to real life. Because we were playing, at 7 years old till we were 27, 30 years old. So that's all we knew. And it was, my dad and Pat Spafford, I think, organized their first youth football program there in Liverpool. And I know my dad started the community council basketball program, the first ever organized youth basketball program in our community. So, yeah, my dad had a lot of influence. Why did you go to Slippery Rock, and you got your you got your bachelor's from Slippery Rock, but you also went back and got your master's from SUNY at Cortland. Talk about college life and going back and getting your master's.
Well, I didn't know what I wanted to do until my senior year of high school. By then, it was kind of late to get into a New York State school. So I ended up going down in Kentucky to Murray State University for my first 2 years of school. But I wanted to get back closer to New York State, and I wanted to go to a better school for my major, which was health and physical education. So I transferred to Slippery Rock. And at that time, Slippery Rock, which is in the western part of Pennsylvania, was the number 2 school in the country for health and phys ed. Springfield College was the number 1 in the country. So I finished my junior and senior year and graduated from Slippery Rock. And yeah, it was tough, but you know what? I felt challenged, and I felt that it made me a better person as far as being a teacher. I did my student teaching at Fairview High School outside Erie, Pennsylvania, and they let me help coach the 9th grade football team. So that was actually my first coaching was while I was student teaching. And that was a good experience because Fairview High School, the football coach was God. And I remember I did half of my student teaching was elementary, half was secondary. And when I went to the high school, the person that I taught under was the head football coach. He was a phys ed teacher, and he gave me all his classes. My first day at the high school, he went to his office, and that was it. So I did all my student teaching with really not much guidance from him. He was my mentor, I guess, but he was the head football coach, and the principal would come down to his office. The principal would come down to the coach's office during the football season to talk football. So the football coach was kind of like God, and they didn't have lights back then, so they played in the next town, Girard, Pennsylvania. That's where they played their football games, because football in Pennsylvania, was big, much bigger than New York State, where you were brought up. And we'll probably talk later about Liverpool, but schools in Pennsylvania, they had a state playoff way before New York State.
Right. Yeah, they did. There are a lot of great football players. Are you kidding me? From Joe Namath to there's a ton of them that come from the Pennsylvania area. That's interesting. You talked about that in your mentor. I guess transitioning. How did you get to Liverpool, and how did George O'Leary give you your first break in coaching up there? And talk about that transition back to Liverpool, up to Liverpool area.
Well, that's a great question, Trip, because when I graduated in the middle of the school year. So to get a job graduating in the middle of the year usually doesn't happen. I was very fortunate that a position opened up at one of the Liverpool elementary schools, Mark Lovelace Elementary, which was on Old Liverpool Road. It closed. By the time you were in high school, I don't think Mark Lovelace was even open. But an elementary position opened up because the phys ed teacher there was a first-year teacher, and he started in the fall, and he decided he didn't like teaching. Imagine, he graduates, he gets a job, and he doesn't like it, so he quit in the middle of the year. So I applied for the job, and back then, to get a job in the middle of the year was not easy. Dr. Luke Laporta, who you know, had a stack of applicants. He told me later on that his folders of applicants was like a mile high. And I applied. I interviewed with Dr. Laporta. He kind of liked me because, number one, I was Italian. And, and I remember I came home one night, and my mother goes, Dr. Laporta called. So what do you want? Well, he said he wanted to talk to you about hiring you. And I begged him to hire my son, she goes. I said, oh, that's nice, Mom. You begged him to hire your son. So I got the job at Mark Lovelace Elementary. And so I spent that semester teaching there. But I wanted to coach football. And you couldn't coach at the high school unless you were closer to the high school. And back then, there were 10 elementary schools in Liverpool. And Mark Lovelace was kind of a distance, as you know, from the high school. So I plus, to be honest with you, elementary phys ed was not for me. Those little kids come running in. Every class comes running in. They got more energy than Energizer Bunny. And they're all looking for a daddy and a mommy. And kindergarten kids are really, you got to have a special mentality. So I was able,
Right.
after that first semester, I was able to transfer to Sewell Road Middle School to teach health. And that put me right next to the high school. So I transferred there. And I remember Dr. Laporta called me up and said, you want to coach football? Oh, yeah, I do. I want to coach football. He said, well, we got all these kids turned out for freshman football. We got over 100 ninth graders turned out we can't have them on one team. So we're going to create a second freshman team. And you're going to be the coach. I said, oh, that's nice. Who am I going to coach with? He goes, by yourself. Oh, okay. He said the other two guys who've been coaching for a long time, they'll take one team and tread softly with them because they've been there for a long time and you're just a young rookie, but you're going to take the other team by yourself. So I got to coach a ninth grade team by myself. Let me tell you, you're running a whole practice, offense, defense, every position. You're going to games. You got no one help. It was a learning experience by, whatever. So then we changed things around to where we had another coach. We had two teams, two coaches, freshman level. Mm-hmm. But I want to move up to the varsity, but they wouldn't give me the chance because I moved from Sewell Road. They moved Sewell Road Middle School. Excuse me. They moved. Where am I now? I'm mixed up here. They moved where I was at Mark. Now I'm really mixed up here. I was at the middle school that was next to the high school. We moved out to Sewell Road. So I'm getting my middle schools all mixed up. So that put me further from the high school. So they wouldn't let me coach at the high school. I could coach ninth grade because ninth grade could start later. The varsity team had to start immediately. I didn't like that. So I knew the guy who was the head coach at North Syracuse. He said, why don't you come over here and coach varsity with me? I said, oh, that's nice. So I went over and coached 2 years as an assistant varsity coach at North Syracuse. Now, that was a rival, North Syracuse Cicero. But I taught Liverpool, and I was able to coach varsity football, but it was at North Syracuse. Then George O'Leary came in from Long Island. George his first year as I was coaching at North Syracuse, and we became friends. We would talk football. He had a big library in his den of all his football stuff. He said, you can check out any book you want, but you got to check it out like a library because too many people don't return my books. Okay.
Ooh.
Then he calls me up after his second year. He calls me up. He goes, we got a position open at the varsity. You want to coach with the varsity with me? I said, of course I do. Because I teach right down the road at Sewell Road. He goes, well, we'll make an exception that you can come to practice and we'll wait for you or whatever, and you can coach with on the varsity. So that was the year that you were a senior, and your team, as you were a captain, won the sectional championship, won all this stuff. Great undefeated team. What an experience I had to learn after coaching freshman football for a number of years. I got to learn varsity football from George O'Leary, one of the top coaches in the country, at any level.
In the country.
Oh, I learned a lot.
In the country, Coach.
George was the master of defense. You win championships with defense. That was his motto.
Right.
He didn't care he'd rather win 3-0 than lose 50-49. That was his, he loved it. I learned so much from him, and coaching a team with players like you and all those other people that you mentioned a couple earlier that have been on your shows, like Bill Pendock and a few other players. I mean, look at those guys that were on that Liverpool team who not only went on to college, but went on to the NFL.
Coach, unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yep.
Billy Pendock, Mark Berryhill, Timmy Green, Rhodes Scholar and All-American at Syracuse. Chuck Sweeney went up to Syracuse. Daryl Smith, Tom Odine, Mike Woods played at Ohio State. Tony Emmy, Paul Goulet, Steve Corp, Jim Corsinini, Jim Roswood, Jim Spinella, Troy Braithwaite, and on and on and on, Coach. That we had so many guys. And then when we played Henniger, I think Billy said there was something like, I don't know, 12, 15 guys that played college football from that team. We only gave up 33 points all year, but Henniger was right there and almost as good as us.
Well, if you remember preseason, we had a four-way scrimmage at East Syracuse Manoa, and Henniger was in that four-way scrimmage. Or maybe it was a three-way. But anyways, I remember when it was time for us to scrimmage Henniger wanted the ball inside the 10-yard line. And O'Leary said, yeah, that's fine. Okay, we'll play goal line defense. And so they had took them 10 plays to score from inside the 10. and they were jumping up and down like they won the Super Bowl. Well, no one forgot that, right? No one forgot that, because who would believe that preseason scrimmage would end up as a sectional championship with the same two teams? And I know the coaches and the players, you guys did not forget that scrimmage didn't mean anything in the win and loss column. What meant was that game at Coyne Field, which was like an ice rink, televised on TV, where I got to be careful how I say this, but we kicked their rear ends. The team, you guys kicked their rear ends.
What a year, Coach! What an unbelievable year. We were a great team. The undefeated team that year. It's like no other. I've interviewed hundreds of athletes over the 15 years, Coach. And I ask almost every one of them, what's the most special time in their football careers? And these are NFL guys that have been around for a long, long time. And almost to the very last one of them, Coach, say their high school is their most special.
Do you remember, because you were a captain, so when that game was over with at Coyne Field and we had beaten Henniger, and of course tradition was you lined up 2 lines before you board the line, before you got on the bus. And we were in the middle of the field with 2 lines, helmets on, and O'Leary was being interviewed by the radio station. So I stood up by the front of the line with you guys, the captains, and we stood there waiting for O'Leary to finish. And at the end of the Coyne Field, the soccer nets were up, because the next day was going to be the soccer playoffs, soccer sectionals. And remember, tradition was, whether it was a regular game or practice, you always came on the field underneath the goalpost, and you left the field underneath the goalpost. And I remember, I don't know if it was you or one of the captains up front looked at me and said, Coach, can we go off the field? And pointed at the nets, the soccer nets, underneath the goalpost. I just said, I know I've got no part of this. And I remember your eyes lit up, and the whole team just went right through those nets. The soccer. Do you remember that? Do you remember?
I do remember, Coach. We never entered the field or ever not left the field in those 2 lines underneath, because there's 2 goalposts, and they didn't have the single ones where they're spread out. Back then it was the 2 goalposts. And by God, we were gonna go through. We tore the nets up. We didn't care, man.
No matter what.
We were a little bit. We had a little bit of rebel in us, but we were such a close knit group. We get in trouble, and we would all get in trouble, and we all had each other's backs no matter what we did. We had some serious leaders on that team, Coach. You taught at every level, K through high school, and actually college too. Talk about. I had a president in UWF told me one time 80% of our problems come from freshmen. And when I substitute taught here and coached for many years here in Pensacola, I found that 80% of the problems in the high school came from 9th graders. Middle school, I just stopped I just stopped teaching middle school because I was going to get arrested, one of those kids, because they are rude, crude, they will mock you. It's that age group I just didn't like. Elementary school, my daughter taught she teaches kindergarten. So I subbed for her one day, and I got asked 500 questions in one day, Coach. I said, middle school's not for me. Elementary school's not for me. I liked high school kids. What was it like teaching the different levels and teaching college kids too?
Well, not too many people have the experience of teaching every grade level. I guess that was one of my something I could take away when when I finally pass off this planet. But to me, elementary is the hardest to teach. Primary, kindergarten through third grade. That is the hardest. Those teachers earn their money. They really do. When you get to the middle school, I really liked middle school. Grades 6, 7, and 8 is middle school. I love 8th grade was my favorite grade. Back then, now today things are a little bit different, but back then you could have discipline and not get fired, because there were things that I know I did that if I did that today, they would fire my butt right away. I'm not going to go into any of those stories, but I loved 8th graders because 8th graders, you could speak at a higher level with them. They could comprehend, and yet you could pull their chain and buffalo them. I would stand in front of a class and lecture a class. I'd break out laughing because there's something funny I said, and they would sit there with their hands folded. They didn't know how to react. So it was, now high school kids, they are connivers. They will try, and you probably remember when you were high school, they'll try to get away with anything they can. If they put as much energy into learning as they do with trying to get away with things, they would be better students. College is the easiest. I found, college is just, to me, it's just so easy. Parents cannot step in and call the teacher up and bitch and whine because you just can't do that. Your son or daughter is now an adult. So, you give them the syllabus. Here's the syllabus. Here's what you have to do. And if you don't, your grade will suffer, and that's the way it is. It's very simple. And out of all, I think I taught college 5 years. Out of 5 years and probably hundreds, if not thousands of students, I can only remember one bad experience. So college students, they were easy, and it was fun teaching college. But 8th grade, I really loved.
8th grade and emotionally mature adults, young adults. All right, one of the smartest players you ever coached, Coach.
Smartest players?
Smartest player.
Smartest. Well, you know that answer.
Timmy Green.
It has to be Tim Green. I mean, Tim Green, he was, as you know, he was New York State heavyweight wrestling champ, right? He was an All-American high school football player. He was a college consensus All-American. He was an NFL 6 years, I think, with the Falcons. He started back with them. Now, did I ever tell you his story?
No, go ahead, Coach.
Okay, well, it's a true story, so I think Tim wouldn't mind if I tell this story. But when your senior year, Tim was a sophomore, correct?
Right.
Okay. Tim had been a starter at Liverpool since his freshman year. You don't see 9th graders starting in a school as big as Liverpool. Liverpool is one of the largest schools in the state of New York, and you just don't see 9th graders doing that. But he was very talented. So, he's a Rhodes Scholar candidate. Let me back up to that when he was at Syracuse. So, anyways, Tim was a sophomore your senior year. He wanted to play linebacker. He had been a defense and offensive lineman as a freshman and sophomore. He wanted to play linebacker. So Coach O'Leary said, I was the linebacker coach. He said, take Tim preseason a few days, analyze him, tell me how he is at linebacker. Like O'Leary didn't really know. Come on. So I took Tim for about 3 or 4 days, and I'm gonna be honest with you. We played a 4-3 defense. Remember?
Right.
So we had 3 linebackers. We had kids that were really good at linebacker. Mark Berryhill, for example, at middle linebacker. You couldn't find a smarter, he was smart and tough as nails.
Yeah.
Tim would not start at linebacker. He couldn't start as a linebacker as a sophomore because those other kids were older, more experienced. They were very good. So I told Coach, O'Leary knew it, so O'Leary put him back on the line. He ends up that year being all-county offensive defensive lineman. He ends up his junior and senior year as an All-American high school offensive defensive lineman. He goes on to Syracuse University as a freshman. Who is he as a coach? Who's his coach at Syracuse when he's a freshman?
O'Leary.
George O'Leary. Okay. What position does Tim want to play as a freshman at Syracuse?
Linebacker again?
That's the linebacker, correct. So they take him with the linebackers, and as good as he is, they wanted someone who had better hands to be a linebacker because you have to drop into coverage and all that stuff, right? So they put Tim,
Right.
send him back to O'Leary, and what happens? He ends up being an All-American junior and consensus All-American senior year at Syracuse University. Gets drafted by the Atlanta Falcons, NFL. What position does he want to play?
Linebacker again.
And he makes it. He played linebacker for the NFL Atlanta Falcons. Wait a minute. When he was a sophomore, he tried to play linebacker in high school, and his coach said he couldn't play. His college coaches said he couldn't play linebacker. But he starts in the NFL at linebacker.
3-4 linebacker.
Oh,
Coach,
smart.
he had his hand on the ground quite a few times. Yeah. Yeah, he was smart and tough.
Bill Pendock was tough too. But when you talk about smarts, okay, you got a Rhodes Scholar candidate. You can't get any smarter than that with Tim Green.
Yeah. Yep. Overachiever player. Most the player you saw overachieve the most.
Well, see, I really keep on going back to your school, your team at Liverpool. I think Tommy O'Dye, quarterback. When Tommy O'Dye was a freshman, he was a backup quarterback on one of the two freshman teams. He didn't start as a freshman quarterback, and we had two teams. But by the time he got to a junior, he was a starting quarterback of an undefeated sectional championship team.
Yes, he was, with a touchdown in the championship game and a huge scramble in that game. I remember he had that was critical for us to keep the ball away from them. Wow. Yeah, O'Leary he was a character right out of Central Casting, wasn't he? He ran a tight ship, and that's an understatement. What was it like being in a coach's meeting with him when he didn't like something, or maybe when he did like something and said something?
Remember we went to football camp at Golden Valley preseason?
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. The Junction Boys junior version.
Well, things got kind of boring in the middle of the week, if you remember. And so George stopped practice, and he brought everyone over and said, we're going to have a one-on-one tackling drill so you guys know how to tackle. So he pulled Bill Pendock out of the crowd, helmet, full pads, and he calls over Coach Chambliss. Remember Coach Chambliss? And he says, Coach, here's the football. When I blow the whistle, you run past Pendock. Pendock, you tackle him. Do you remember that? I don't know. So O'Leary blows the whistle. Pendock was nice. Coach Chambliss gave him a head juke, and he got past Pendock. Yeah. Pendock let him get by him. Come on, he didn't want to hurt the coach. But the rest of who was coaching with us? It was me and
Jack Jones.
Jack Jones, yeah.
Jack Jones.
Jones and I, after we saw that O'Leary pulled Chambliss, we were afraid he's going to pull us out of the crowd to go one-on-one. we started moving to the back of the crowd, kind of like hiding so O'Leary wouldn't see us.
Oh my God!
Remember weightlifting in the morning before school started? It's like 6:30.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Before school started, he had us weightlifting. If we didn't all have on the same socks, shorts, and top, he would blow a gasket. Well, what do you remember about those workouts? They were brutal in the morning.
O'Leary sold that program. He told the administration, they come in early, they'll be on time for school, and they'll be out of a shower. They'll be clean by the time they get to school, by the time they get to their first class. Oh, go ahead, have your weight train. So you remember you had to be in that little room, and when O'Leary walked down the hall, he would blow the whistle. Everyone had to be at a station, and we did circuit training, right? So I was the only coach that would show up at 6:30 to help with Coach O'Leary. The other guys never. They were still in bed. So I walked down the hall with O'Leary, and I could tell he has something up his sleeve. He gets close to the room, and he starts yelling at you guys. And he says, "You guys aren't ready." He runs, he goes in the room, he takes a chair and he throws the chair across the room. It barely missed a couple of players. And he says, "You guys aren't ready. Let's get going." Blew the whistle, and everyone started lifting weights because they were scared he's going to throw the chair at them. It's like, wow. But I was like standing there laughing. I knew it was kind of like just to get you guys.
Planned thing, yeah.
Oh, were you?
Everything was.
Were you one of the players that got kicked off the team at the end of the season? I don't think so. At the end of the season,
no, he got mad at us for smoking pot, so he got on us about that.
He got mad before the Henniger game because he heard a couple players went to CYO basketball, and he called 3 or 4 of you guys into the office, and I forgot who the players were, but 3 players showed up at CYO basketball before the Henniger football game, and he didn't want that because what if you turned an ankle or something? Right. So he calls these guys into the office and he starts yelling at them. "What do you think? You're not thinking about the team. You're only thinking about yourself. Blah, blah, blah." He says, "You're off the team. Turn your stuff in. You're gone." I don't know who the guys were. I don't know who the players. I think they were starters. They started crying. They thought he really meant they were off the team. He was just scaring them.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. He was scared the hell out of you. Rosinski had left by then. Wow. Yeah, that was something else. Talk about your Westchester University and Albright College. You enjoyed coaching and teaching there? Both of those? What did you learn? What did you learn at those 2 stops, Coach?
Well, Albright College is a small city in Reading, Pennsylvania. And back then, it's a very expensive school, private school. But they had a hard time recruiting football players. It was an academic school. So it was very difficult to get the right players you got to have players to win. Players win games. Coaches can draw X's and O's all you want, but you got to have the players. And so that was a learning experience. Westchester was different. Westchester University is one of the state schools. And back then, we had a very good team. I coached defensive secondary, and I helped work the in-season strength program at Westchester. And we were, back then, it was the Eastern Conference and Western Conference of Pennsylvania state universities. And we won the Eastern Conference. And then IUP, Indiana University of Pennsylvania, they won the Western. So we ended up playing them for the state championship, Division II. So we had to go out there and play them. Wow. And they were Division II, but actuality, they're 1AA. They were a much bigger school. So they did beat us, but we had a pretty good team and we had a really good quarterback.
Wow.
We had a really good head coach. He was hardcore ex-Marine.
Boy, most of those coaches were ex-military. Coach Ryan, ex-Navy guy. General Nayland, who he could never beat. He just had so much respect for the military. I remember Coach Ryan, would use military style, and when he was in the Navy, he actually, used that Navy training when he went and coached. But he quit his first head coaching job before he even got it, or he just got it, and World War II broke out. So he was going to put that on hold. But Coach, what is next for you? What are you staying? What are you doing? I know you're working out. I'm proud of you for working out. I work out. What's next? Are you chasing your grandchildren all over the place? What?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I try to work out every day. I just turned 78, and age is catching up to me. A lot of my close friends that going back to when I grew up in Fulton, my best friends who, we played sports together. 2 of my best friends, they're no longer alive. And I see, I'm a cancer survivor. I've had both my hips totally replaced. So when I go to work out, it's a privilege to be able to get up and go exercise and take advantage of every day. And you're absolutely correct. My grandkids are something I look forward to. As a matter of fact, we're going to go to my granddaughter's concert tonight, winter concert. But I have 3 grandkids, and following them, one plays basketball, one's cross country. My granddaughter, she's into theater. She's going to be a plus engineering. So it's fun to watch your grandkids.
Yeah, grandkids are pure joy, Coach. Man, I'm going to, matter of fact, a Christmas thing tonight from one of my grandsons, and tomorrow I'll go into another grandson Christmas play tomorrow. So that's what I've been doing, Coach. Man, I appreciate all the things you did for me. I was lucky. I was blessed to have great coaches in high school and college. I had the best coaches in the country, Coach Pan. Yeah, there's my high school post. I was such a ham in high school, Coach. Oh my God! I guess when I got to Alabama, Coach, I got humbled. Because I was stuck, Coach. I was stuck on seventh string. My first couple of years there. Go playing against the first string on the scout team. That's what made me the player that I was, playing against the first string when I first got to Alabama. And Coach, I went on the field and I went, holy shit, what am I doing here? Because they just won back-to-back titles. But hey, I did get me an SEC championship ring, Coach, in 315. So I played for the greatest two coaches. And I want to say thank you for coming on and chronicling your story. You got an amazing story, Coach, and I'm glad you came on and did this.
Well, I thank you so much. And I remember those days, like, when you played like they were yesterday. It's like the stories that I try to share with you, I just kind of like threw them out as quick as I could. But you remember, it was fun. It's something to look back on because it's an experience that once in a lifetime. I mean, you look at what happened and what you experienced. Not many people can say that.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you,
Coach. Thank you, Coach. Love you. Have a great week, and you look great for 78. Keep the old man at the door, Coach.
Yeah. Hey, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Coach. So hard. Coach Candy Pannafino. Man, one of a kind, little Italian boy from upstate New York. It's a good story. I want to thank you for watching. Stay tuned for these great messages. Without these great sponsors, this just wouldn't be possible. Have a great sports weekend, everybody. So long.
When it comes to buying your next car, truck, or SUV, you need a team that puts you first. Here at the Sandy Sansing dealerships, we're proud to serve Pensacola and the Gulf Coast with the best selection, trusted service, and deals that work for your family. Just like great coaches build great teams, Sandy Sansing builds lasting relationships with every customer who walks through our doors. Because when it comes to finding your next vehicle, there's only one name to remember. Sandy Sansing can.
That's you trying to fix the plumbing yourself to save a few bucks. Doing things yourself doesn't always end well. The same goes for insurance. That's why Auto Owners works with local independent agents who tailor coverage to meet your needs and offer discounts for life, home, car, and business insurance. Because sometimes you need a professional to get the job done right. That's simple human sense.
When it comes to buggies and golf carts, nobody does it like Buggy Works. Hi, I'm JP Wibbs. We've got the largest selection of golf carts on the Gulf Coast. We have a brand new 10,000 square foot state-of-the-art service center and showroom to keep you rolling. We're right here in the heart of Car City at 5831 Pensacola Boulevard. Open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, Saturdays 9 to 3. Check us out at buggyworks.com. Buggy Works. Come by and see why we're the #1 Denago dealer in the nation.
Are you riding around in a filthy vehicle? Dirty car no more. Visit Ronnie's Car Wash today to get it shining in no time. They have 3 convenient locations with another coming soon. The unlimited monthly wash packages start as low as $14.95 per month with free vacuums, multi-purpose spray and towels. Visit them in Gulf Breeze, Navarre, Fort Walton, and soon Crestview. Don't wait, wash today. Be sure to see Ronnie's Car Wash on Facebook to see the latest specials and discounts. You'll be riding and shining in no time.
When it comes to buying your next car, truck, or SUV, you need a team that puts you first. Here at the Sandy Sansing dealerships, we're proud to serve Pensacola and the Gulf Coast with the best selection, trusted service, and deals that work for your family. Just like great coaches build great teams, Sandy Sansing builds lasting relationships with every customer who walks through our doors. Because when it comes to finding your next vehicle, there's only one name to remember. Sandy Sansing can.
75 years of service in high tech today, it's Pensacola Glass Company at 433-8348. High tech is a term often applied to advanced services and products in today's marketplace. And today, glass is much more than a simple pane of brittle, see-through stuff we hit baseballs through when we were kids. Glass is now a product with unique flexibility in both performance and application. And Pensacola Glass Company is growing right along. That's Pensacola Glass Company at 433-8348.
There's a reason why Hill Kelly in Pensacola is the #1 selling Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram dealer between Jacksonville and New Orleans. While other dealers have taken advantage of a competitive market with higher prices, Hill Kelly has discounted prices to the lowest of the year. And Hill Kelly in Pensacola won't surprise you with excessive charges beyond the selling price. Come see why people from Milton, Pace, Foley, Bay Minette, Daphne, Gulf Shores, Mobile, and beyond are driving to Hill Kelly in Pensacola to buy their next new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram. At Hill Kelly, the bottom line price and your satisfaction are what really matter. So before you sign, check the bottom line and make the trip to Hill Kelly in Pensacola to see what true local ownership can do for you. At Hill Kelly Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Highway 29 in Car City, Pensacola. Or shop online 24/7 at hillkellydodge.com. When it comes to bottom line pricing, nobody beats a Hill Kelly deal. Nobody.